everyone, I'm Dr. Lisa Medaglia, also known as Dr. Lullaby. Today we're going to talk about sleep and ADHD. Now this is actually my favorite topic because I actually wrote my dissertation on this topic and am very passionate about it. So I'm going to first start off by giving a little bit of background context on some theories related to this space. So there is first a hyperarousal theory that kind of ties in this relationship. And the hyperarousal theory means that kids who have ADHD, they have kind of this more wound up central nervous system. And because they have this sort of more wound up system, it's harder for them to settle into sleep. So they end up more at risk for having sleep problems. So then there is a hypoarousal theory. And it kind of talks about the reverse relationship. So it talks about when kids, if a child is sleep deprived and they're not getting enough sleep, then they're going to exhibit that sleep loss is going to kind of slow down their system, slow down their central nervous system. And because their system is slowed down from the sleep loss, they're kind of hyperkinetic and hyperactive to try to keep themselves awake and involved with their day. So you might see them kind of bouncing their leg and kind of moving around just to try to stay awake. And so it's interesting because, if, adults are sleep deprived, they're really the opposite. They are, you're slow, you're lethargic, low energy. Like kids, when they're sleep deprived, they're hyperactive and they look just like kids with ADHD. And this has actually been shown in a research study. So there was a research study where they took a group of kids that were completely like otherwise normal, no diagnoses of any sort, and they split them up into two groups. One group where they were getting enough sleep, and then the other group where they were sleep deprived. And they found that the kids that were in the sleep deprived group were significantly more likely to meet the criteria for ADHD. They did this full battery of tests, and found that they're much more likely to exhibit the symptoms of ADHD. So think about this and what that really means. If you're observing and you're seeing hyperactivity in your child and the teachers are complaining about it, or they're observing attention problems, and you run right over to the pediatrician and tell them that, because the pediatricians, not their fault, but they're busy clinics, and that's the one thing you're telling them, that's the bit of information you're sharing, and you're seeing it, the teachers are seeing it, that's you're putting your child is very likely to get a diagnosis of ADHD. And then, of course, one of the most common treatment approaches for ADHD is a stimulant medication, which unfortunately has a side effect often of insomnia. So then you see kind of worsening of the sleep problem, even less sleep, and then even worsening of those symptoms of ADHD. Now, I'm not saying that there's no such thing as real ADHD. I do believe that there is real ADHD. I just want to kind of caution parents and pediatricians that this is something that sleep evaluations, thinking about sleep, management of sleep is important first as kind of a first step. Seeing if the child is not getting enough sleep for their age group, or if there are any issues with sleep quality, and kind of managing that first, and then seeing if those symptoms of ADHD are persisting. So before considering even kind of going down that pathway of an ADHD evaluation, see how the child does first with improving sleep. Thank you.